I'm going to talk a little bit about protecting applications that power your business that might be back office or on-prem applications, but that don't have modern APIs. These business applications might be back office portals. They might be, if you're a fintech system, a claims processing system, something that has typically customer data as a very important application that powers your business, but may not be modernized and may actually be even hard to reach and apply governance to. So let's assume this particular application is on premises within your infrastructure. Let's say that it has a web interface, but that the backend is a database, like a SQL database backend. But let's also assume that it has no API available. So companies really struggle in this world to secure this application because you've got accounts and permissions and entitlements, groups maybe all within the SQL database. Those different objects and resources are powering authorization within this application that the users are logging into. But getting visibility in terms of what the users have access to and managing the lifecycle of those permissions can be incredibly challenging. So the question is, how do you really bridge that gap? That's where ConductorOne comes into play with Baton SQL. So ConductorOne's control plane is in the cloud. We can apply identity governance and identity security to any application. In this particular case, what we're going to do is we're going to deploy what's called a Baton SQL connector into your premises or hosted within your infrastructure. And what Baton SQL allows us to do is actually connect to any bespoke backend SQL database, understand the accounts, permissions, and entitlements within that system, sync that back to ConductorOne, and then use policy and automation on top of that data model within the ConductorOne application to apply access changes, security, and governance downstream. So what we'll do is we'll deploy the Baton SQL container within infrastructure. That can be deployed on a Windows machine through an MSI. It can be deployed as a Kubernetes container. There's lots of different deployment options. That container, once running, has a configuration file. In the configuration file, you can think of as simply a YAML file, which is going to define how we connect and talk to the SQL backend database and understand all the resources within that application and provide provisioning capabilities. So Baton SQL allows us to understand the accounts, whether those are service accounts or user accounts. It allows us to understand groups. It allows us to understand entitlements, roles, and any other custom permissions or resources within that system. So Baton SQL is incredibly flexible and our data model is incredibly flexible and really allows us to model whatever type of authorization system you have in this backend database. So you're going to define your SQL config here within the Baton SQL connector instance. We then understand how to apply governance and identity security to that backend system and then read out all the objects. And then through a client ID and secret, we're going to connect up to the ConductorOne platform. And sync the data back and forth between the backend system and the ConductorOne platform and apply access changes to it. So within the ConductorOne platform, we still have our policy control layer. We have automations. We have access controls, such as applying birthright access and permissions. We can apply account provisioning. All of those great identity security and automation capabilities are provided through the ConductorOne platform, obviously with which users can interact with this platform. And then through those changes, as the approvals take place or as the automation takes place, we're going to then apply those changes down to the on-prem system and make the changes to the backend SQL database. And that includes, for example, automated account provisioning to that downstream system. So in the ConductorOne platform, we're going to have this application represented. We're going to have all the entitlements and resources and accounts within that application in the ConductorOne system. And let's say that you need to create a new account. We're going to find that, we're going to run that workflow. We're going to apply the dynamic mapping of whatever attributes you need on that account. We're going to push that down to the Baton SQL connector, and it's going to create that account here within the system and your users have been onboarded and entitled properly.